The hangar bay smelled like burnt metal and old fuel. Derek Walsh pulled his jacket tighter as he walked around his cargo ship, checking for damage after the rough landing. Station Outpost Gamma 7 was always cold, always half broken, and always too expensive for repairs. He kicked at a loose panel near the landing strut and heard something that made him freeze. A whimper, soft and scared, like a hurt animal hiding from predators. Derek crouched low and peered beneath his ship. Two glowing eyes stared back at him from the shadows. They blinked once, twice, then disappeared deeper into the darkness. "Hey," Derek called softly. "You okay back there?" Silence. Then a small voice spoke in broken standard. "Please do not hurt." Derek's eyebrows shot up. Whatever was hiding under his ship could talk. He lowered himself onto his stomach and crawled forward, ignoring the cold metal against his chest. The dim light from his work lamp caught something that made his breath catch. Scales. Crystalline scales that sparkled even in the poor light. They covered a tiny body no bigger than a house cat. Membrane wings lay folded against trembling sides. The creature was shaking so hard its scales clicked together like wind chimes. "I'm not going to hurt you," Derek said, keeping his voice gentle. "What are you doing under my ship?" The creature crept forward an inch. Derek could see it better now. It looked like the dragons from old Earth stories, but smaller and somehow more real. Its eyes held an intelligence that made his skin prickle. "Need help," the dragon child whispered. "Mama is dying. Will you help?" Derek felt his heart drop into his stomach. He had seen a lot of strange things hauling cargo across the frontier, but nothing like this. The creature's voice carried such desperate hope that it hurt to hear. "Where's your mama?" Derek asked. "Outer hull. Section 9 Black. She crashed 3 cycles ago. Bad people hurt her. Took our ship. Left us to die." The dragon child's voice cracked. "Security will not help. They say we are not registered species. They say we are illegal." Derek knew exactly what that meant. Stations like Gamma 7 only protected species listed in the Galactic Registry. Everyone else was considered contraband or pest animals. If station security found an unregistered alien, they would either throw it out an airlock or sell it to the highest bidder. "Why come to me?" Derek asked, though he was already mentally running through his supplies, trying to remember if he had any medical equipment that might work on an alien. The dragon child moved closer, close enough that Derek could see the details of its face. It had small horns, delicate features, and those impossibly bright eyes. "Mama taught me to sense warm light. She said warm light means helper, not hunter. You have the brightest warm light I ever saw." The creature looked down at its claws. "You are my only hope." Derek closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his shipping license, his carefully maintained clean record, his comfortable, if lonely life running freight between mining colonies. Helping an illegal alien would destroy all of that. Station Command would blacklist him. He would never work in registered space again. That he opened his eyes and looked at the shivering dragon child. "What's your name?" he asked. "It translates to bright in your language." "Okay, Bright. I'm Derek." He extended his hand slowly. After a moment's hesitation, the dragon child placed one tiny clawed hand in his palm. The scales felt warm and smooth, like polished glass heated by the sun. "Let's go find your mama." Bright's eyes went wide with relief and gratitude. The emotion hit Derek like a physical wave in his chest, warm and overwhelming. He gasped and pulled back slightly. "Sorry," Bright said quickly. "Emotions leak when I am scared. I will try to control." Derek shook his head, still recovering from the strange sensation. "It's okay. Just warn me next time." He glanced around the empty hangar. "We need to move fast. If security sees you, this gets a lot harder." He pulled off his jacket and held it open. Bright understood immediately and climbed inside, curling up against Derek's chest. The dragon child's body heat seeped through his shirt, warmer than he expected. Derek zipped the jacket carefully and stood up. To anyone watching, he just looked like a pilot walking through the station. They could not see the illegal alien pressed against his ribs or feel the tiny heartbeat racing with fear and hope. As he walked toward the maintenance corridors that would take them to Section 9 Black, Derek wondered what he was getting himself into. He had no medical training beyond basic field care. He did not know anything about dragon biology. He was risking everything for a species he had never even heard of before today. But when Bright shifted slightly inside his jacket and whispered a quiet thank you, Derek knew he had made the right choice. Some decisions were not about logic or safety. Some decisions were about looking into desperate eyes and choosing to be the kind of person who helped instead of walking away. The corridor ahead was dark and cold. Derek checked his portable scanner and started walking. Somewhere in the abandoned sections of this dying station, a mother dragon was fighting to stay alive for her child. And Derek Walsh, freight hauler and now, apparently, dragon rescuer, was going to make sure she succeeded. The maintenance corridors stank of rust and stale air. Derek followed Bright's whisper directions, moving deeper into sections of the station that had been abandoned years ago. Emergency lights flickered overhead, casting shadows that jumped and danced along the walls. Left here, Bright murmured from inside Derek's jacket, then down 3 levels. Derek found the access ladder and started climbing down. The metal rungs were slick with condensation. His boots slipped twice, and each time his heart jumped into his throat. Falling here meant breaking bones at best, dying alone in the dark at worst. The bottom. The air felt different. Colder. Thinner. Derek checked his scanner and swore under his breath. The atmospheric readings were all wrong. This section was barely holding pressure. Bright, are you sure your mama is down here? Derek asked. Yes. She cannot go farther. Too hurt. Bright's voice was small and scared. Please hurry. Her light is fading. Derek did not ask what that meant. He just moved faster. They found the outer hull breach 15 minutes later. Someone had sealed it poorly with emergency foam that had hardened into yellow chunks. Through a gap in the foam, Derek saw stars. Cold space waited just beyond the thin barrier, and wedged between 2 hull plates was an escape pod. It looked like it had been through a war. Scorch marks covered the surface. One whole side was caved in. Fluid leaked from cracks in the metal, freezing into crystals as it hit the cold air. Mama, Bright cried out. Derek unzipped his jacket and let the dragon child scramble free. Bright ran to the escape pod and pressed tiny claws against the damaged hatch. A sound came from inside, low and weak, like whine through broken glass. Derek approached carefully. The pod's emergency lights were still flickering, which meant some power remained. He found a manual release and pulled. The hatch resisted, then groaned open with a screech of bent metal. Heat washed over him. The inside of the pod was warm as summer despite the freezing corridor. And there, taking up nearly all the space, was the mother dragon. She was massive. Her body stretched the length of Derek's entire cargo hold back on his ship. Crystalline scales covered her, each one as large as Derek's hand, but their light pulsed weakly. Where bright scales sparkled like stars, hers flickered like dying embers. Deep wounds cut across her torso. Something dark and thick oozed from the gashes. It glowed faintly, and Derek realized he was looking at dragon blood. The smell was strange. Like hot metal and flowers, the mother dragon's eye opened. It was enormous, the size of Derek's head, and it focused on him with frightening intelligence. Her pupil contracted. Derek felt his legs go weak under that ancient gaze. She tried to speak but only managed a wet cough. More glowing blood leaked from her mouth. She cannot talk in standard when she is this weak, Bright said, climbing onto her mother's neck. But she can share feelings. May she touch you? Derek swallowed hard. Will it hurt? No. It is how we communicate when words fail. Derek nodded and stepped closer. The mother dragon extended one massive claw. It was bigger than Derek's entire hand, sharp as knives, but she moved with careful gentleness. The tip of one talon pressed against Derek's chest, right over his heart. Emotion flooded him. Not his emotions. Hers, fear, overwhelming fear for her child. Images flashed through Derek's mind. A beautiful world of crystal caves and singing stars. Then darkness. Explosions. Ships with cruel weapons firing on defenseless dragons. Running. Fleeing through space. Pirates chasing them wanting their scales, their bones, their hearts, everything that made them valuable to the hunters. The mother dragon showed him her crash landing on the station, hiding in the abandoned sections, trying to protect Bright, growing weaker each day, knowing she was dying but unable to find help. Then she showed him what she saw in Derek. The warm light Bright had mentioned. She did not know what it meant, but she recognized it as something good, something safe. She showed him her desperate hope that this stranger might save her child. The connection broke. Derek staggered backward, breathing hard. Tears ran down his face without him noticing. She asks if you will help. Bright translated. She knows she might die, but if you save me, she can rest. Derek looked at the mother dragon's wounds more carefully. Years of hauling freight had taught him basic field medicine. Broken bones, cuts, burns. He had treated them all, but this was different. The wounds were infected with something. Dark tendrils moved under the mother dragon's scales, spreading slowly through her body like poison. What is that? Derek pointed. Parasite bombs. The pirates use them. Bright's voice shook. They burrow inside and eat us from within. It makes us weak, so we cannot fight. Then they harvest us while we still live. Derek felt sick. He crouched down and examined the wounds closer. The parasites avoided his hands when he got near. One touched his skin and immediately died, shriveling into ash. Bright, did you see that? The dragon child leaned closer. They died when they touched you. Derek's mind raced. Human biology was toxic to the parasites. That was something. That was a start. But the mother dragon needed more than parasite removal. She needed surgery. Blood. Carrie could not provide in an abandoned station corridor. Alarms began wailing overhead. Red lights started flashing. Security detected the breach, Derek said. They are coming. The mother dragon moved despite her pain. She pushed something into Derek's hand with her claw. A crystalline scale, warm as a living thing. Through the touch, Derek felt her plea. One word that needed no translation. Please. Derek closed his fist around the scale. He looked at Bright, then at the dying mother, then back at the corridor where security would appear any moment. We are moving her, he said. Both of you are coming with me. She is too big, Bright protested. Then we make her fit. Derek was already running through options. His ship had cargo clamps, heavy-duty straps. Trust me. The mother dragon's eye brightened slightly. Hope flickered in its depths. Derek smiled grimly. Let us go steal a dragon. Derek ran back to his ship faster than he had ever moved. Security boots echoed in the corridors behind him, getting closer. He burst into the hangar bay and sprinted to his cargo hold, punching the access code with shaking fingers. The hold doors hissed open. Derek grabbed his emergency equipment kit and the industrial straps he used for securing cargo containers. Then he took the magnetic clamps from his external cargo system. They were designed to move shipping containers in zero gravity, but today they would move something far more precious. He ran back to the maintenance corridors. Two security guards rounded the corner ahead. They saw him and shouted, "Stop! This area is restricted." Derek did not stop. He ducked into a side passage and kept running. The guards followed, but Derek knew these corridors better than they did. Years of freight work taught him every shortcut on every station that he reached the outer hull section and found Bright trying to drag pieces of hull plating. The dragon child was strong for its size, but not strong enough. "Help me make a sled," Derek said, dropping to his knees. He arranged the plating into a flat surface and used his straps to hold it together. "We pull your mama on this." Together they worked. Derek's hands moved fast, tying knots and securing the makeshift sled. Bright used small claws to thread straps through gaps Derek could not reach. They made a good team. The mother dragon watched with dim eyes. She was fading. Derek could see it in how her scales barely glowed anymore. "Now the hard part," Derek said. He positioned the magnetic clamps and activated them. They hummed to life, gripping the hull plating of the sled. "Bright, I need you to help guide your mama onto the sled. Can you do that?" Bright nodded. The dragon child climbed onto the mother's neck and spoke in a language Derek did not understand. It sounded like crystal bells ringing. The mother dragon groaned. She moved. Each shift of her massive body clearly caused horrible pain, But she did not stop. Inch by inch, she dragged herself from the broken escape pod onto the sled Derek had made. Blood dripped from her wounds. Derek tried not to think about how much she was losing. "Good," he said when she was finally positioned. "Now we run." He activated the magnetic clamps to maximum power. They pulled the sled forward. The mother dragon's weight was enormous, but the clamps were designed for cargo containers weighing several tons. They could handle it. Barely, Derek pulled. The sled scraped along the corridor floor with a terrible screech. Security would hear it. Everyone would hear it. But there was no other choice. Bright ran ahead, using its small size to scout corners and warn Derek about obstacles. Twice they had to change routes when security got too close. Once they had to hide in a storage room while guards passed within feet of them. The mother dragon stayed silent through it all. Derek did not know if she was unconscious or just holding back sounds of pain. Either way, he was grateful. They reached the hangar bay. Derek's ship waited with its cargo hold still open. He pulled the sled up the ramp, muscles screaming in protest. Sweat poured down his face despite the cold. Almost there, he gasped, Bright helped by pushing from behind. The dragon child's small body strained with effort. They got the mother dragon inside. Derek secured the sled to the cargo hold floor with every strap he had. He covered her with thermal blankets. It was not much, but it was something. "Stay with her," Derek told Bright. "I need to get us out of here." He ran to the cockpit and dropped into the pilot's seat. His fingers flew over the controls. Engine ignition. Power to thrusters. Unlock landing clamps. The hangar bay doors were still sealed. Derek swore and hit the emergency override. Warning sirens blared. Station command's voice crackled over the radio. "Cargo vessel registration Hotel 79. You are not cleared for departure. Stand down immediately." Derek ignored them. He fired up the engines to full power. The hangar door started to open, but too slowly. Security vehicles were entering the bay, blocking his path. Guards in armor suits raised weapons. Derek made a choice. He slammed the throttle forward. His ship lurched ahead while the hangar doors were still only half open. The atmospheric containment field shimmered as he punched through it. Alarm screamed. The ship's shields absorbed hits from the guards' weapons. He cleared the hangar just as the doors tried to close. Metal scraped metal. Sparks flew. Then they were out, racing away from the station at full thrust. Defense turrets opened fire. Energy bolts streaked past the cockpit windows. One hit the rear shields, and the whole ship shook. Warning lights flashed across every panel. Derek threw the ship into a spin, dodging through a pattern he had learned flying through asteroid fields. Left, right, drop, climb. The turrets could not track him. Their bolts hit empty space. Then they were out of range. Station Outpost Gamma 7 shrank behind them, still firing uselessly into the dark. Derek took a shaky breath and checked his instruments. Hull damage in 3 places. Shields at 40%. Fuel reserves lower than he liked. And his transponder was broadcasting his crime to every station in registered space. He was officially a fugitive now. His shipping license was worthless. His clean record was gone. Everything he had built was destroyed. From the cargo hold, he heard Bright's voice. "Derek? Mama is getting worse." Derek looked at the star charts. Haven's reach was somewhere beyond the mapped territories. It would take days to reach, days they might not have. But what choice did they have? He plotted a course into the unknown and engaged the engines. Behind them, everything burned. Ahead, only darkness and desperate hope waited. "Hold on," Derek whispered. "Both of you just hold on." His ship jumped to faster than light speed. The stars stretched into lines. And somewhere in his cargo hold, a mother dragon fought to stay alive for her child while a human stranger who owed them nothing risked everything to save them. The galaxy had seen many strange things, but it had never seen anything quite like this. Space stretched endlessly in all directions. Derek's ship hummed through the darkness while he sat in the cargo hold with 2 dragons and a medical kit designed for humans. The mother dragon lay on her side, breathing in shallow gasps. Her scales had stopped glowing entirely. That could not be good. Derek opened his medical scanner and pointed it at her wounds. The device beeped in confusion. It was programmed to analyze human biology, not alien dragons. The readout showed nothing useful, just error messages and warnings about unknown tissue types. Useless, Derek muttered. He tossed the scanner aside and looked at Bright. Tell me about your biology. What do I need to know to help her? Bright climbed onto the mother's neck, tiny claws gripping scales carefully. Our scales change color with our health. Bright means strong. Dim means weak. Dark means dying. Derek looked at the mother dragon's scales. They were almost black now. What about the parasites? They eat our life energy. They spread until there is nothing left. Bright touched one of the wounds gently. Dark tendrils moved beneath the scales around the injury. We cannot remove them ourselves. Our claws cannot reach inside our own bodies. Derek thought about how the parasite had died when it touched his skin. Human biology was toxic to them somehow. That was his advantage. He pulled on surgical gloves from his medical kit, then hesitated and took them off. If his skin killed the parasites, he needed direct contact. This is going to hurt her, Derek said. Can you help keep her calm? Bright nodded and pressed close to the mother dragon's head, whispering in the crystal bell language. Derek took a deep breath and pressed his fingers into the first wound. The mother dragon's body went rigid. A sound like breaking glass came from her throat, but she did not pull away. Derek felt the parasites under his hands. They wriggled and twisted, trying to burrow deeper. But when they touched his skin, they began to die. He pulled them out one by one, dropping the shriveling creatures onto the floor, where they turned to ASH. It took hours. Derek's hands cramped. His back ached from bending over. Sweat dripped into his eyes. But he did not stop. By the time he finished, the mother dragon had lost consciousness. Derek had removed hundreds of parasites from her wounds. His hands were covered in glowing dragon blood that slowly faded to nothing as it dried. Is she better? Bright asked in a small voice. The parasites are gone, Derek said, but she still needs so much more. Blood, real medical care. He looked at his ship's basic supplies. I'm just a freight hauler, Bright. I do not know if I can save her. Bright looked at Derek with those impossibly bright eyes. You are trying. That is more than anyone else did. Derek cleaned and bandaged the wounds as best he could. He covered the mother dragon with every blanket on the ship. Then he sat back against the cargo hold wall, exhausted. Bright curled up next to him. The dragon child's warmth seeped through Derek's shirt. Tell me about your world, Derek said. What was it like? Bright was quiet for a moment. Then the dragon child began to speak. We lived in crystal caves that sang when the wind blew through them. Every dragon had their own song. Mama's song was like thunder and rain together, beautiful and strong. Bright's voice grew sad. The hunters came because they wanted our scales. They make powerful weapons and beautiful jewelry. They did not care that we were people. They only saw profit. How many of you escaped? I do not know. Mama grabbed me and ran. I saw others fleeing too, but I do not know if they survived. Bright looked up at Derek. What about your world? What is Earth like? Derek smiled slightly. Water everywhere. Huge oceans that stretch beyond sight. Forests with trees taller than buildings. Animals of every kind. He thought about home, which he had not seen in years. I grew up near the ocean. Every morning, I could hear waves. It sounds beautiful. It was. Derek glanced at the mother dragon. Her breathing seemed a little steadier. Maybe removing the parasites had helped. Why did your mother mention Haven's Reach? What is that place? A legend. A world where the old protectors once lived. Mama said if we could reach it, we would be safe. The old protectors promised to guard all dragons who found their way there. Derek accessed his ship's computer and searched for any reference to Haven's Reach in the star charts. Nothing appeared in registered space. But Bright had given him coordinates the mother dragon remembered. They pointed to a region beyond explored territory. We will find it, Derek promised. Days passed. Derek fell into a routine. He monitored the mother dragon's condition. Her scales slowly began to glow again, shifting from black to dark gray. It was progress that he learned words in the dragon language from Bright. Simple things. Hello. Thank you. Friend. The sounds were hard to make with a human throat, but Bright was patient. In return, Derek taught Bright about human things. How to read star charts. How ships worked. stories about Earth. They shared meals together. Derek's rations were not suitable for dragons, but Bright could eat some of the mineral supplements Derek kept for analyzing asteroid samples. Apparently, dragon biology needed certain crystals to stay healthy. On the fourth day, something changed. Derek was checking the mother dragon's wounds when her massive eye opened. It focused on him with sudden clarity. She spoke. The word was standard, carefully formed. Thank you. Derek nearly fell over in surprise. You can talk. Some. Hard. She took a labored breath. You saved my child. Save me. Why? Derek thought about the question. Why had he thrown away his life for strangers? Because you needed help, he said simply. Because Bright asked me to. Because it was the right thing to do. The mother dragon studied him. Then she asked something that made Derek's breath catch. Will you protect my child if I die? Derek looked at Bright, who was watching with wide eyes. He looked at the mother dragon, who had fought so hard to keep her child safe. He thought about what it meant to make that kind of promise. Yes, Derek said. I will protect Bright no matter what happens. The mother dragon's relief washed over him like a warm wave. The scale she had given him, which Derek wore on a cord around his neck, pulsed with heat. You are family now, she whispered. Heartbound. Forever. Derek did not fully understand what that meant, but he felt something change inside him. A connection forming. A bond. Then the ship's alarm screamed. Derek ran to the cockpit and checked the scanner's point. 3 ships had appeared behind them. Pirates. The same ones who had attacked the dragons before. They had followed the mother dragon's energy signature across space, and they were closing fast. The pirate ships moved like predators stalking wounded prey. Derek watched them close the distance on his scanner. His small cargo hauler had never been built for combat. Against 3 armed vessels, he had no chance. That a transmission crackled through the radio. A rough voice filled with cruel amusement. Cargo hauler, we know what you're carrying. Surrender the dragons, and we might let you live. Fight, and you die screaming. Derek switched off the radio without responding. His mind raced through options. He could not outrun them, not with the damage his ship had taken at the station. He could not fight them with his minimal weapons. And he absolutely would not surrender Bright and the mother dragon to be harvested like animals. That left one choice. Get creative. He ran to the cargo hold where Bright was pressed against the mother dragon, both of them trembling. We are about to get attacked, Derek said, keeping his voice calm despite his pounding heart. I have a plan, but I need your help. The mother dragon lifted her head weakly. I can fight. Channel energy through me. Make your weapons stronger. No, Derek said firmly. You are too weak. That might kill you. Better than letting them take my child. Derek shook his head. There is another way. He looked at Bright. Can you fit inside the ship's ventilation system? Bright nodded. I am small. I can go anywhere. Good. I need you to manually reroute power to specific systems. The controls are damaged, and I cannot do it from the cockpit. Derek pulled up a schematic on his datapad. Can you follow these paths? Bright studied the layout. Yes. Where do you want the power to go? Wait for my signal. When I say go, I need full power to the magnetic clamps and the port thrusters. Can you do that? I will try. Derek turned to the mother dragon. I need something else from you. Not your strength. Just a small amount of energy. Can you charge objects without hurting yourself? She nodded slowly. What objects? Derek grinned despite the fear clawing at his chest. All of my cargo. He ran to his storage containers and started opening them. His current haul was mining explosives. Low-grade stuff used to break up asteroids. Normally, they needed precise detonation sequences to go off. But if the mother dragon could charge them with energy, they would become unstable. Dangerous. Perfect. Derek loaded the explosives into the cargo airlock. The mother dragon touched each container with her claw, and they began to glow with a soft inner light. Derek could feel the energy radiating from them. Bright, get into the vents now, Derek ordered. Wait for my signal. The dragon child scrambled into the ventilation shaft and disappeared. Derek sealed the vent cover and ran back to the cockpit. The pirate ships were right behind him now. Weapons charging. They thought this would be easy. Derek cut his engines and let his ship drift. The pirates slowed, confused. Smart choice, The rough voice came over the radio again. Prepare to be boarded. Derek hit the cargo airlock release. The explosive spilled into space behind his ship, tumbling in zero gravity. Dozens of glowing containers spread out in a wide field. What is he doing? One of the pirates muttered over an open channel. Derek waited until the pirates entered the debris field. Then he shouted into the ship's intercom. Bright, now! Power surged through the ship. Bright had done it. The magnetic clamps activated at full strength, pulling on the charged explosives. They accelerated toward the pirate ships like missiles. The first explosion was beautiful and terrible. A pirate vessel took 3 containers to its engine section. The charged explosives detonated with far more force than they should have. The ship's shields collapsed. Its engines erupted in flames. The second pirate ship tried to dodge, but flew right into more explosives. Detonations rippled across its hull. It spun out of control. The third ship broke through the debris field and came straight at Derek. Its weapons locked on. Derek did something insane. He used his port thrusters at full power, spinning his cargo hauler in a tight circle. Then he aimed his ship's reinforced bow at the pirate vessel. His cargo hauler was built to push asteroids. The bow section was solid metal, designed to take impacts that would destroy normal ships. The pirate fired. Energy bolts slammed into Derek's shields. Warning screamed, but Derek did not change course. Come on, he whispered, just a little closer. The pirate ship grew larger in his window. Derek could see details now. Gun ports, bridge windows, the shocked faces of the crew realizing what he was about to do. Impact, Derek's ship smashed into the pirate vessel like a hammer. The reinforced bow punched through their shields and crunched into their engine section. Metal screamed. Explosions ripped through both ships. Derek was thrown against his restraints. His head cracked against the headrest. Lights flickered. Systems failed. The whole ship shuddered and went dark. Emergency power kicked in. Red lights illuminated the cockpit. Derek checked the damage readouts and felt his stomach drop. Hull breached in 4 places. Life support failing. Engines completely destroyed. They were dead in space that he unbuckled and stumbled to the cargo hold. Bright crawled out of the vents, looking shaken but unhurt. The mother dragon lay where she had been, her scales dim again from the effort of charging the explosives. Is it over? Bright asked. Derek checked the external cameras. The 3 pirate ships were either destroyed or fleeing. They had won, but his ship was dying. Mama, Bright cried, running to the mother dragon. She opened her eyes and looked at Derek. He saw understanding there. She knew what was happening. Take Bright, she whispered. Save my child. I am not leaving you, Derek protested. The mother dragon began to glow. Not with health, but with something else. Power. She was using the very last of her life energy. What are you doing? Derek asked. She did not answer with words. Instead, crystalline material began to form around Derek and Bright. A cocoon of living crystal, strong and warm. It sealed them inside, protecting them. No, Derek shouted. Stop. You will kill yourself. Already dying, the mother dragon said, her voice fading. This way I choose. This way my child lives. The cocoon lifted them. Derek felt movement. The mother dragon was using the last of her strength to push them out of the dying ship. Through the crystal, Derek watched as his cargo hauler drifted away. The mother dragon lay inside, her light fading. She looked at them one final time. Protect her, she whispered, though Derek heard it in his mind rather than his ears. Be the father she needs. Then her light went out. Derek and Bright floated in space, sealed in the crystal cocoon. Bright was crying, and Derek held the small dragon close. They drifted in the darkness while the ship that had saved them became a tomb for the mother who had sacrificed everything. Time became meaningless inside the crystal cocoon. Derek held Bright while they drifted through the emptiness of space. The dragon child had stopped crying but remained pressed against Derek's chest, small body shaking with grief. Derek wanted to comfort Bright, but what could he say? He had failed. The mother dragon was gone. They were floating in space with no ship, no hope, just waiting to run out of air or freeze to death. Except the cocoon stayed warm, and Derek could breathe just fine. Somehow the crystal was providing everything they needed, but he looked at the scale hanging around his neck. The one the mother dragon had given him. It was glowing now, pulsing with a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Bright, Derek said softly. Is the cocoon using your mother's energy? Bright looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Yes, it is her final gift. It will keep us alive until we are found. And if no one finds us, then we drift forever. Bright said it without emotion, too exhausted from grief to care. Derek held the small dragon tighter. He had promised the mother he would protect Bright. He would not break that promise, even in death. Hours passed, or maybe days. Derek could not tell anymore. He dozed fitfully, waking from dreams of explosions and dying light. Then something changed. The cocoon began to vibrate. Derek snapped awake. Through the crystal walls, he saw lights approaching. Not the harsh white of human ships. These lights were soft and colorful, like the northern lights he remembered from Earth that a ship appeared. But calling a ship felt wrong. It was alive somehow, grown rather than built. Its hull was made of the same crystalline material as the cocoon. Beautiful geometric patterns covered its surface, glowing with inner light. What is that? Derek whispered that Bright's eyes went wide. Dragon ship. From Haven's Reach. They found us. The ship extended something like a tractor beam, but gentler. The cocoon moved smoothly toward an opening in the hull. They passed through an airlock that sealed behind them with organic precision. The cocoon settled onto a floor that felt warm and soft. Then it began to dissolve, crystal fading like morning mist. Derek and Bright were released into a chamber filled with light and warmth. Dragons surrounded them. Dozens of them, in every size and color Derek could imagine. Some were small like Bright. Others were massive, easily 3 times the mother dragon's size. Their scales reflected light like prisms, casting rainbows across the chamber. An ancient dragon stepped forward. Its scales were pale gold, almost white, and its eyes held the weight of centuries. It looked at Derek, then at Bright, then at the scale hanging around Derek's neck. We heard her call. The ancient dragon said in perfect standard. We felt her light go out. We came as fast as we could. Too late, Bright said, voice breaking. Mama is gone. The ancient dragon lowered its massive head until it was level with Bright. No, little one. Not gone. Changed. I do not understand. The ancient dragon touched the scale around Derek's neck with one careful claw. This is her heart scale. While it remains bonded to someone who loves her, she cannot truly die. She's in stasis, healing, sleeping. It will take many years, perhaps decades, but she will return. Derek felt his breath catch. She is alive, in a way. Her consciousness rests within the scale, protected and preserved. When she is healed enough, she will wake. The ancient dragon studied Derek carefully, but only if her heart scale remains with family, with someone who carries her in their heart. Derek looked down at Bright, who was staring at him with desperate hope. I'm not leaving either of you, Derek said firmly. I made a promise. The ancient dragon made a sound like wind chimes. Derek realized it was laughter. The mother chose well. You have the warm light she sought, the sign of a protector. The dragon turned to address the others in the chamber. This human has proven himself. He fought for our kind, sacrificed his life among his people, protected a dragon child when none else would. The other dragons murmured in their crystal bell language. Some sounded approving, others uncertain. The question is, the ancient dragon said, what do we do now? Derek spoke before he could stop himself. I promised her I would protect Bright. Let me stay. Let me raise her until her mother returns. I will learn your ways. I will be whatever Bright needs. You would give up your life as a human? Live among dragons? Become something neither human nor dragon, but something between? Derek looked at Bright, who was watching him with those impossibly bright eyes. He thought about his old life. Lonely freight runs, empty conversations, no family, no purpose. Yes, Derek said, I would. The ancient dragon was quiet for a long moment. Then it nodded. Then you are welcome on Haven's Reach, Derek Walsh. You will be the first human to walk our hidden world. You will raise Bright as your own. And when the mother wakes, you will return her child healthy and whole. Relief flooded through Derek. Bright launched forward and wrapped around him, tiny claws gripping his shirt. "Thank you," Bright whispered. "Thank you for not leaving me." Derek hugged the small dragon. "Never. We are family now." The ancient dragon smiled. "Cool, let me show you your new home." They traveled deeper into the dragon's ship. Through windows, Derek saw a planet unlike anything he had imagined. Crystal formations rose from the surface like frozen music. Energy rivers flowed through the air. Dragons of all kinds filled the skies that havens reach. A sanctuary. A home. The ship landed in a crystal valley. Derek stepped out on a solid ground with Bright riding on his shoulder. Other young dragons approached curiously, and Bright climbed down to meet them. Derek watched Bright play for the first time since they had met. The grief was still there, but so was something else now. Hope. Joy. The chance for a future. An elder dragon approached Derek. "It will not be easy. Raising a dragon child. Learning our ways." "I know," Derek said, "but I have time, and I have a reason to try." He touched the scale around his neck. It pulsed warmly. Somewhere inside, a mother dragon slept and healed, trusting him with her most precious treasure. Derek smiled as Bright tumbled with other young dragons, already making friends. He had lost everything to save them. His ship, his career, his place in human society. But he had gained something far more valuable. A family, a purpose, a home, and someday, when the mother dragon woke, they would all be together. A human, two dragons, and a bond that transcended species. Until then, Derek would keep his promise. He would protect Bright. He would learn to be the guardian a dragon child needed, that he was no longer a freight hauler drifting alone through space, that he was a father, a protector, a bridge between two species, and he had never felt more alive.